A man's career is jeopardized when a past lover reveals her pregnancy, prompting his wife and his current mistress to work together and clear his name. On the morning of his 50th birthday, Remco receives a schedule book as a gift from his wife Ineke. When she sees her husband's muted reaction, she asks if he expected to receive something else. So the man explains that he doesn't think they need to bother giving him gifts at his age. Ineke sarcastically says they should cancel the birthday party if he isn't up for it. Exasperated, their daughter Leekie groans, prompting Remco to admonish her dour attitude. The daughter says she has the flu and isn't feeling well, but her brother Tobias thinks it was the alcohol she consumed last night that made her feel ill. Annoyed by her family's constant bickering, Ineke asks if they're ready to have an enjoyable birthday party today, and Remco says yes. Meanwhile, the pregnant Nadja tries on a white dress in a boutique, and the sales lady remarks that she's having a boy because her bump hangs low on her body. The older woman asks where she's wearing the garment, and Nadja says it's for a birthday party. That evening, Leekie's best friend Merel arrives on her scooter at the family's house. Before ringing the doorbell, she practices greeting Remco with a happy birthday. Leekie answers the door and wonders why her best friend's there for a party with primarily middle-aged guests. Merel says she's there because they're best friends, so the daughter leads her to the stairs so she can show her something in her room. Suddenly, Tobias calls out Merel's name, and when she sees the camera around his neck, she asks if he's the photographer. The man says he's taking pictures of his father's friends, then points the camera at the woman. However, Leekie pulls her friend up the stairs before her brother can take a picture. Then Tobias bumps into Wim, who's hurriedly walking toward the bathroom. As he enters, he sees his business partner Fred calling his name, but he ignores the man and locks the door. Inside, Wim lights a contract from the Akian company on fire and allows the ashes to fall into the commode. When Fred manages to open the door, he sees the ruined contract, which the business partner flushes. The man asks why he chose to burn the document instead of showing it to their third partner, Remco, and Wim says now isn't the right time. Fred disagrees and says this is their only chance, but the man explains that it wasn't the original copy anyway and that everything will make sense in a few days. In the bedroom, Leekie offers illegal substances to Merel, who partakes. The daughter asks her friend if her father invited her to the party, but the friend says she's there for her. Leekie says she knows how her father looks at the friend and that everyone at the party knows Remco's having an affair, though they choose to ignore it. Merel assures Leekie that she'd never sleep with her father, but adds that she wouldn't mind sleeping with her brother. Bemused, the woman warns her friend to stay wary of Tobias, then says she wants to show her something in his bedroom. Moments later, they enter the man's room, and Leekie shows Merel her pictures, which the brother lewdly edited. The friend agrees that the pictures are deranged but admits she finds the effort oddly cute. Suddenly, Tobias enters the room and asks what they're doing. The sister says she's there to retrieve the CDs he borrowed. As they leave, Merel tells the man that he's supposed to be downstairs taking pictures. He jokes that he'll take her photo if she takes her top off. Merel pulls down her top, allowing the man to take a vulgar picture, and she teases that he won't need to edit the photo anymore. Downstairs, Ineke answers the door and stares in surprise when she sees the pregnant Nadja. She asks what the woman's doing there since she thought she was in Japan, and the guest says she's there to congratulate Remco. The pregnant woman says she thinks she's having a boy because she's carrying low, and after a few awkward seconds, the older woman lets her in the house. By the bulletin board where Tobias pins all the Polaroid pictures from the party, Remco kisses his secretary Micah on the cheek after she writes a sweet message on one of the photos. Suddenly, the celebrant hears his wife announce Nadja's arrival, and he spots the woman's pronounced belly. Then, Ineke leads the guest toward her husband. Nadja congratulates the man on his birthday, and he offers the same on her pregnancy. When she leans in to kiss him on the cheek, he whispers that it was bold of her to show her face at the party. During Remco's speech, he mentions their company's recent financial troubles and their family's personal issues, then thanks his wife for supporting him through both ordeals. The guests sing the man the birthday song, and when Merel hears it from the bedroom, she tells Leekie that they need to head downstairs to join the festivities. Meanwhile, Tobias pins the lewd picture on the bulletin board with "To Remco from Merel" written on it. The mother sees the photo and takes it off the board. While Merel greets the celebrant, Ineke confronts her about the picture, and the embarrassed guest swears she didn't write the note. After the wife walks away, Remco tells Merel that what she did wasn't smart. Seconds later, Leekie hands her friend a glass of red wine. In the kitchen, the mother asks her son why he took the vulgar picture and adds that his odd behavior drastically worsens his chances of ever having a relationship. The man scoffs and thinks it's funny that she is giving him relationship advice. Concurrently, the celebrant joins his business partners and Nadja at a table. Wim asks the woman who the baby's father is while giving Remco a malicious stare. She says it was a man she met in Japan, adding that it was love at first sight. However, Nadja says the man perished in a car accident recently. Remco is relieved that the father is Japanese since he worries the baby might be his due to his and the former employee's affair months ago. By the bar, Ineke asks if she can touch the pregnant woman's belly, but when she does, she notes that she doesn't feel the baby moving. Then, Merel asks the woman how far along she is with a pregnancy, and she says 8 months. After Nadja walks away, Ineke tells her friend that the woman was her father's ex-mistress and implies that since the woman's only been in Japan for 6 months, she was already pregnant before she left. Merel jokes that her friend might have a baby sister or brother soon. Suddenly, Ineke feels nauseous, so she runs toward the bathroom. Inside, she finds Nadja finishing up, and while throwing up, she sees a used feminine product in the commode. Then, the intoxicated woman stumbles and falls into the hallway, prompting Merel to ask Tobias for help carrying his sister to bed. In the bedroom, the friend confronts the brother for the note he wrote on the indecent picture, then calls him a jerk. He says that the behavior runs in his father's side of the family, subtly implying that he knows something's happening between her and Remco. After the party, Ineke tells her husband that their marriage is over if he has anything to do with the baby Nadja's carrying. In the office, Wim and Fred call the man into the conference room for an urgent meeting. The pair informs their business partner that they received the quarterly figures and that the company's bankrupt. However, Remco disagrees because he still believes their new project in Dubai will bounce back. Furious, Wim tells him to give up on the project and consider selling to Akyun Capital Investments, who offered to buy the company. He explains that the Chinese company plans to pay in cash, and the three of them plus Ineke will receive 6 million euros each. Remco is in disbelief that his partners dealt with the company's sale without informing him. Fred asks him to think about it, especially since the company's bound to collapse. However, the man says he doesn't care if it collapses with them in it, and then he storms out of the room. Later, the pregnant woman informs him in his office that she lied yesterday and that the baby is his. Suddenly, Wim and Fred enter the room, and the former reveals that he and Nadja work together to blackmail Remco. He says he won't tell Ineke the truth if he agrees to the takeover. Fred says he didn't know about the blackmail plan, but Wim doesn't care whatever tactic he's using as long as he forces Remco to sell the company. The greedy man expects the blindsided business partner to decide by tomorrow. After Wim and Nadja leave, Fred apologizes to Remco and insists he didn't know about Wim's plan and Nadja's involvement. On campus, Tobias nearly hits Merel with his car as she crosses the street. He asks her to have lunch with him, but she declines, reasoning that she has a scheduled appointment. Later, the woman rides her scooter to a hotel, where she receives a text message informing her to head to room 307. When she knocks on the door, Remco lets her in, revealing that they've been having an affair. While they undress, she says Wim and Fred can't undermine him since he owns the company, but he clarifies that he and Ineke own half the shares while the two men own the other half. Aside from not having a majority of the shares, he says the man also threatened to tell Ineke that Nadja's baby is his, and he worries his wife might leave him if she finds out. Remco asks Merel what she'd do if she were in Ineke's position, and she says she'd leave him too. However, she's aware that she's simply one of the man's many conquests and that she'll enjoy their arrangement as long as she can, so the couple makes love. Later, Merel meets with Ineke for lunch, where the latter informs her that she saw a used feminine product in the commode after Nadja was in the bathroom. She says it's strange for someone who's supposedly 8 months pregnant to have her time of the month. Then Merel excuses herself to the restroom, and while she's gone, Ineke sees her father calling her friend's phone and realizes she might be the new mistress. When the woman returns to the table, she says her father called because she left her undergarment. Merel looks down at her blouse to check, unaware that it was Inike's way of confirming the affair. Furious, Ineke can't believe her friend sleeping with her father. Merel tries to explain, but the angry woman doesn't want to hear any excuses. She asks if Remco bought her the scooter, and the friend's silence confirms her suspicions. She stands up and is about to throw wine on Merel but says she doesn't want to waste the drink, so she chugs most of the beverage before tossing the remaining drops in the glass onto the guilty woman's face. Through the restaurant window, she watches Leaky kick over the scooter. During dinner, Remco tells his family they're selling the company, much to Ineke's confusion. She asks who negotiated the deal, and he says Wim did. The wife wonders how Wim managed the deal since she knows he only does whatever Remco tells him to. So the husband says it was the partner's plan, but he didn't mind because it was a good one. Remco explains that they'll both receive 6 million euros and adds how much they could buy with the money. While glaring at Remco, Leaky says they could buy a scooter, and she tells her father that she wants a red one because Merel just bought a blue one. Suddenly, Tobias receives a call from Merel asking him to meet up. At a parking garage, Tobias uses his computer to find Nadja's address. Through satellite images, they find a rooftop with a window into the woman's apartment and figure out that they can use the fire exit to reach it. Outside the building, Tobias lifts Merel so she can reach the fire exit ladder. On the roof, they peek through each window until they find one looking into the bathroom. While waiting for Nadja to show up, Tobias says he's always wanted to spend a night alone with Merel, so she leans in and the pair share a kiss. Suddenly, they hear a noise below, and when they peek through the window, they witness Nadja removing a fake belly, confirming that the pregnancy was a hoax. The next day, Ineke asks Remco if he's sure she doesn't need to be at the meeting with the buyers, and he says yes. After the man leaves, Tobias and Merel drive to the house. Inside, he heads up the stairs and says he'll see his sister. Meanwhile, she speaks to Ineke, but before she can relay the information from last night, the wife says she knows about her affair with her husband. Merel asks how she knew, so the woman explains that she learned to spot his mistresses easily after Remco's many girlfriends before and during their marriage. The mistress asks what the wife thinks of her, and Ineke says that even though the secrecy annoys her, nothing else about the affairs bother her. She says she knows they all end after a few months but acknowledges that Nadja's pregnancy complicates things. Merel says that's why she wanted to talk to her, prompting the wife to ask if she's with child. The mistress says no and adds that Nadja isn't pregnant either. Before she leaves, Ineke places a pair of scissors into her bag. Then, she tells the mistress that if she could do it all over again, she'd still choose Remco. Minutes later, Merel heads to Leaky's bedroom despite Tobias' warning that his sister never wants to see her again. In the room, Leaky pretends she's giving birth by placing a pillow under her shirt and jokes that she can only get a scooter by sleeping with her father. Merel teases that she can borrow her scooter but it's busted, and the friends make amends. Later, Ineke crashes the meeting amongst the business partners, so Micah has to ask the Chinese executives to wait outside the conference room. In the meeting, Wim tells Remco to sign the contract allowing the company's sale while handing Nadja a document to sign so she relinquishes all claims regarding the baby. Before Remco signs the papers, Ineke enters the room and sits beside the pregnant woman. The wife asks what Nadja's doing there, so Wim lies and says she's returning to the company after she gives birth. Seconds later, Ineke says she has a gift for the pregnant woman, then takes the scissors from her bag and stabs Nadja's belly several times. The horrified men jump from their seats, but their fear turns to confusion when no blood appears on her clothes, and she doesn't cry out in pain. After she pulls out the scissors embedded in her fake belly, Nadja tells Wim that he'll need a new plan. Then Ineke stands up, tells her husband he knows what to do next, and leaves the room. Remco realizes the woman isn't pregnant and grabs the documents before Wim takes them. He says he can use the papers as evidence to sue him for extortion and fraud, but instead, he, Ineke, and Fred can use their majority ownership of shares to kick Wim out of the company. Later, the man meets Merel at the hotel and happily informs her that Ineke found out Nadja wasn't pregnant, that they fired Wim, and agreed to a merger with the Chinese instead of a takeover. However, he wonders why Merel isn't removing her clothes, so she finally says she's ending their relationship. Outside, she tells Tobias she's single again and kisses him. Leaky hands her tickets to a concert in Berlin, and the trio joyously drives off. That evening, Remco takes Ineke out for a date at a fancy restaurant. He asks how she knew about Nadja's fake belly, and the woman says his ex-girlfriend Merel told her, taking him aback. When she doesn't drink the wine, the man asks if she'd like something else, so she finally admits she's pregnant. Ecstatic, the man rises to his feet to kiss his wife on the cheek. Then, Ineke asks if he'd like to know the baby's father, stunning Remco.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.